What's up everybody, this is Danny, and today I want to revisit the OnePlus 9 Pro after 3 months. This phone has received a ton of software updates since launch, and I think it's a much better phone now, especially the camera. I have one here with the original software it launched with, and one with the most up-to-date software, so I'll show you a camera comparison later on in this video. Before we get started, I want to clear something up. In no way is OnePlus sponsoring this video, but I did partner with Magic Links and Best Buy to let you know that the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro are both now available at Best Buy. I'll leave a link down below for you because you never know when these will go on sale. So if you are interested in picking one up, make sure you click that Magic link. It makes it super easy. So first, let's talk about how the phone has held up. I've been using a case most of the time and no drops with this one, so there is no damage. So I may be a little bit weird, but I left the pre-installed screen protector on because number one, I'm afraid to scratch the screen. And number two, I think it feels just fine with it on. It doesn't affect my everyday use, so let me know how you feel about that. There are a few scratches on the screen protector itself, but overall it's held up great. The curved design and the aspect ratio of the screen really make this phone feel so much smaller in the hand. And even with the OnePlus carbon case on it, it's still a great size, so I love it for everyday use. Plus, the case really helps with the grip on the curved display, so I highly recommend the case. The only thing that I had to get used to with the ergonomics is the placement of the in-display fingerprint scanner. It's a little bit lower than I'm used to, but I got used to it quick after using it for a few days. The 6.7-inch 120Hz display has been good so far, no issues on my unit with uniformity or anything like that. The 1440 by 3216 resolution looks sharp and the colors are exactly what you would expect from an AMOLED display. Punchy colors with amazing contrast. It looks really great. On paper, peak brightness at 1300 nits is great, but in bright sunlight, it's not the best that I've seen. But overall, I love the fluidity of 120 Hz. It's just so smooth. And the touch sampling on this phone just makes it feel so lightning fast. I notice this every time that I switch to a OnePlus phone. They do a fantastic job with Oxygen OS. It looks near stock, but it has plenty of customization options. It just feels so responsive overall. There's no complaints. I've enjoyed watching content on this display and also playing some games as well, since this is being powered by the latest and greatest Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 processor with 12 gigabytes of RAM, so awesome performance is expected. I'm getting so much more 5G coverage where I live. I'm running this on T-Mobile right now, so if you have 5G in your area, this phone can support that. I'm sure you've already seen a ton of videos on this phone, but let me tell you how the software updates have changed my experience with the OnePlus 9 Pro. The first big update that changed my experience was the one that dealt with power management and battery life. I would occasionally have the phone overheat on me outside when using the phone with the camera, but it's been much better since the last few updates. And I'm also happy to say that the battery life is much more consistent on the OnePlus 9 Pro after the updates. Sometimes I would make it through a day, sometimes I wouldn't, but now I'm consistently making it through a full day with the OnePlus 9 Pro, so that is good to see. There have also been some minor improvements to charging. I've noticed slightly better heat when it comes to wireless charging, so even though the phone was already good when it launched, if the phone's launched in this current state right now, I think there would have been a much warmer reception. But respect to OnePlus for keeping this phone on the latest security patches and continuing to better this phone with software updates. This is definitely a trait that you should be looking for when purchasing a phone, because when a company continually updates the software on their phones, it keeps your phone fresher longer and it gets better over time. So that's definitely something that you should be looking out for. The biggest changes for me, and the one that most people probably care about the most, is the camera. There have been about 3 or 4 camera software patches since release, and it for sure has refined the camera quality. The Hasselblad branding on the back surrounded this phone with a lot of hype, and I think that's what led to expectations not being met. But I think reviewers, including myself, didn't focus enough on the Hasselblad Pro mode. If you want the best color science and want full manual control with 12-bit RAW, you gotta dig into the Pro mode because you're going to get the best natural colors when you shoot in this mode. The sharpening is tapered down, the colors are more neutral, and if you know what you're doing in post, you can get some incredible looking photos. So if you want me to do a video digging deeper into Hasselblad Pro mode, let me know and I'll do that. But I know that most of my viewers and average consumers shoot on auto mode, so let me show you how much this camera has improved and what I've noticed so far. The one on the left is the launch software, and the one on the right is the most updated software at the release of this video. While it's not on every picture, you can see that the color tuning has improved. The sky is being represented better here with much better shadow detail, and you can see the flags are sharper as well. This next picture is a great example. The flags are also sharper here in this shot. And if you look, there is noise on the old software and it has much more saturation, and the white balance looks nicer on the newer software builds too. There is just a touch more contrast, which I think can make the overall scene look nicer. I am also seeing some scenarios improving on the Magenta Skycast as well, so this is really great to see. After looking at a lot of these photos, the tweaks and improvements on HDR processing is also noticeable. Look at the flower here. The highlights are being handled so much better now. In this mixed lighting scene inside, look at the windows in the background. So much better on the newer software. Look at how blown out it is in the older software. Same here, just so much better on overall balance with highlights and exposure. The wall is better balanced. The floors are more detailed with that nice touch of contrast. There are a few shots once in a while where the old software does look better, so this is not in every single shot, but I wanted to show you a ton of samples so you can see that this is not a fluke. The super macro mode is even sharper and more detailed. Just look at the rice. In this stairway shot here, that warm light peeking through, the HDR balance is so much more even. Scene accuracy is also better with the newer software. It tries to preserve more of what it actually looked like. The older software did brighten the scene, even though it probably does look better to you. That's not what it looked like. But if you look here, do you see that extra color being picked up now by the newer software? More of a dynamic sunset. And if we switch to the 3.3x shot, it is so much sharper and more detailed with the updates. I like the fact that you're getting subtle extra color and better processing all around with better noise reduction and sharpness. This one really shows the extra color pickup in high dynamic range scenarios like this sunset at Epcot. Here is another scenario, so let me know which one you prefer in the comment section below. But regardless, it was a beautiful night. Skin tones were already good even on the older software, but I'm really appreciating the tweaks where it's balancing the skin brightening. The overall tone and white balance is really improved, even though that there is more contrast throughout the picture. Some might and some might not like that. Regardless, it does have a great quality to it, and this is straight out of the camera without any type of post-processing. A lot of the non-technical things will be preference-based, but I'm really liking the overall processing in the newer software builds, so this to me is a totally different camera. Low light improvements are also very noticeable. Right away, you can see how much sharper it is over here on the right. And when you punch in, look at the noise improvements on the newer software. The sky and the ring itself is so noisy. And also look at the noise on my son's legs here on the old software. What a huge improvement. On the shot of the contemporary building, look at the sky detail here, picking up the light from the sunset, and the building itself is so much sharper. And then just look at the dramatic detail difference on the pavers on the ground. That is a huge change. In terms of night mode, here is a shot with just single snap, big difference in white balance. But when you kick in Nightscape, look at the improvements in color on the newer software. Much better shadow detail on the tree, the pavers again, more detail with less noise in the sky. Some shots don't look as drastically different, but you do still see the little refinements like white balance, detail, and colors. These are all welcome changes in my opinion to the camera system, and I hope that OnePlus keeps continuing to improve the camera quality through continual software updates, because all of these improvements like the skin tone rendition at night, which you can see is clearly better on the new software, makes a huge difference to everyday results. So let me know, what do you think after seeing these pictures? Does this change your mind about the OnePlus 9 Pro camera? Also, there are a few features on this camera system that didn't get the attention that it deserved. First is the 120 frames per second 4K feature, and having this type of quality for slow motion is fantastic. This is 4K 120 footage slowed down in 30 frames per second timeline, and it just looks so smooth. And while there is no stabilization in this mode, look at that quality. And also you can shoot 8K video, but at 30 frames per second, taking advantage of that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888. Most phones only have the 24 frames per second option, and you can also shoot that on the main sensor and also on the ultra wide if you want, which I think gives you much more flexibility. So the big thing to take away from this is that the OnePlus 9 Pro is a much better phone now than it was at launch. And I think there are a few lessons to be learned here. And I hope that OnePlus tightens up their software strategy before releasing their next phone. But there's some positivity that came out of this. They kept pushing software updates to the OnePlus 9 Pro, making it much better. They could have given up, but I think this is a great thing for current OnePlus users and also new OnePlus buyers. It's always cliche to say, but this is the best OnePlus phone that they've ever made, and this is the best camera system that OnePlus has ever released. And it does compare well with other flagship cameras on the market. I've done a ton of camera comparison videos, so I will leave those linked down below for you so you can see for yourself. If you were on the fence about picking up a OnePlus 9 Pro before, then I think it's safe to pick one up now. And I'm gonna leave that magic link down below for you so you can pick one up at Best Buy. Let me know if you own a OnePlus 9 or OnePlus 9 Pro and what do you think about it so far after the updates? Did it change your experience or did you really not notice? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure you smack that like button so you can help with the YouTube algorithm so more people will find this video, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel for a lot more tech videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next one.